Today, we're talking about the beast, which is in Revelation, the Antichrist. And in Revelation chapter 13, starting at verse 1, and I stood upon the sand of the sea and saw a beast rise up out of the sea, having 7 heads and 10 horns, and upon his horns 10 crowns, and upon his head the name of and upon his heads the name of blasphemy. And the beast which I saw was like unto a leopard, and his feet were as the feet of a bear, and his mouth as the mouth of a lion. And the dragon gave him his power and his seat and great authority. Now, the beast, when it talks about him, was like a leopard, and his feet were like a bear, and his mouth was like a lion. Now, the leopard is him being able to be cunning, like a leopard. A leopard is a cunning animal, very cunning. A bear speaks of power, because a bear is very powerful. And a lion, that means he's talking with authority, because lion speaks of authority. And I believe that the beast is going to be an avatar where the devil himself can enter into it and control it. When I say avatar, I'm talking about him being a clone. How can I say he's going to be a clone? Because when man makes another man a clone, without there being there's no semen, there's no egg, and he creates a human form. That clone will not have a human soul. It will not have a human spirit. It will be just flesh. And when it's just flesh, that is going to be Satan's avatar. How can I say this? Because if you go to the previous chapter 12, it describes the Satan as a dragon. Chapter 12, verse 3. And there appeared another wonder in heaven, and behold, a great red dragon having 7 heads, 10 horns, and 7 crowns upon his head. Now that's the same description of the beast, except the beast has 10 crowns. The dragon has 7 heads. What does the beast have? The beast has 7 heads. It says the beast has 10 horns, and the dragon has 10 horns. The difference is the dragon has 7 crowns on his head. The beast has 10 crowns on his head. I look at that being there's 3 extra kingdoms here now. There's going to be 10 extra kingdoms in the future, which gives the beast its power. These kingdoms give their power and authority over to the beast. I wouldn't say their power, I would say their authority. Now, Satan, the reason why I say it's going to be an avatar used by Satan, because Satan, it says Satan gives him his power and gives him his seat. Satan can't give his power over to somebody. He can only do things through that body. He says it gives him his power. Satan can't do that. It says he gives him his seat. And Satan's not going to give him his seat over to somebody. That tells me that this is an avatar which is being controlled by Satan. Satan's in that body, controlling it, saying things, doing things with his power, from his seat, with his authority. And Thessalonians, it says, Second Thessalonians chapter 2, starting at verse 3. Let no man deceive you by any means, for that day shall not come except there come a falling away first, and that man of sin be revealed, the sin of perdition, who opposes and exalts himself above all that is called God, or that is worshipped, so that he as God sits in the temple of God, showing himself that he is God. Who does this? Who portrays himself to be like God? Who tries to exalt himself up to the same level as God? Satan does. Because Satan says, I will make myself like God. And so he's doing this through the avatar, through the clone, because the clone has no soul and no spirit. Well, how can you prove this? Well, I'm glad you asked. How can I prove this? We go to Revelation chapter 19. Starting at verse 20. And the beast was taken, with him the false prophet that wrought miracles before him, with which he deceived them that have received the mark of the beast, and them that worshipped his image. These both were cast alive into a lake of fire, burning with brimstone. That tells me that the Antichrist and the false prophet have no human souls. Because it goes on to say in the next verse, and the remnant were slain with the sword of him that sat upon the horse, which sword proceeded out of his mouth, and all the fowls all the fowls were filled with their flesh. Meaning the Lord killed them. He executed them because he brought judgment on their flesh. He killed their flesh. That was their judgment on the flesh. So now he has to judge their souls. A human, when he dies, he has to go before judgment of the Lord. If he's a non-believer, he goes before the great white throne judgment of God. If he's a believer in Christ, he goes and gets judged by Jesus. Either way, he's getting judged. The soul has to be judged. For the Lord to be a righteous God, a just God, the souls have to be judged by either the Father or the Son. Like I said, if you're a non-believer, you get judged by the Father. If you are a believer in Christ, worshiping Jesus, loving on Jesus, you get judged by Jesus. You go before the judgment seat of Christ. That's what Paul says. But all in all, every human being that is born has a soul and a spirit. And when they die, the souls have to be judged. Because if you're saying that this beast and false prophet have a soul, and God just takes him and tosses him in a lake of fire, then that's him. That's being God, not being a just God. He's not being a righteous God. He's not being just God because he didn't judge the soul. He just took that being and just tossed him in a lake of fire, alive. And in order to judge the soul, the flesh has to be dead. That's the only way you could judge the soul. The only way, that's the way God judges the soul, is when the flesh is dead. When the flesh is dead, the soul gets judged. As long as the flesh is alive, the soul is not getting judged. The soul gets judged after the flesh is dead. That's why you go to the great white throne judgment of God or the judgment seat of Christ. Now, the ones that he kills, these people are the ones that take the mark of the beast, that worship the beast, and these are the ones, it says in Revelation 13, verse 8, and all that dwell upon the earth shall worship him, whose names are not written in the book of life of the Lamb slain from the foundation of the world. Now, how the beast, or the beast being controlled by Satan, how is he going to deceive the world? He's going to deceive the world with AI. Because in Matthew chapter 24, verse 22, and except those days should be shortened, there shall no flesh be saved, but for the elect's sake those days shall be shortened. Then if any man shall say unto you, Lo, here is Christ, or there, believe it not. For there shall arise false Christs, false prophets, and shall show great signs and wonders, insomuch that if it were possible, they shall deceive the very elect. How are you going to deceive the very elect? These are the people that know Jesus, that know his voice. Because Jesus says, my people know my voice. So how are you going to deceive those that know Jesus' voice, that spend time in his presence, that read his word, worship him, talk with him? How you deceive them? With AI. Because Jesus said, I have to shorten these days, because if I don't, my very elect, the ones that really spend time with me, they can be deceived. And AI is very deceitful. Because when Donald Trump went into Venezuela and took the dictator out, people actually thought it was AI until they did the research and found out that it was actually true, that Donald Trump actually did that. So if if people are right now believing, saying that certain things are AI, and AI is not even perfected yet. It, AI is totally not. It's not completely perfected. It still has flaws in it. So if it's able to deceive people now, it's able to deceive certain people now. Imagine when it's totally perfected, how it would deceive everybody that's on this earth. Now, with the Antichrist and the false prophet, this happens when we're we're not even here. The born again believers are lifted out of here. The rapture has happened. So the born again believer does not have to worry about what the beast is like, what he looks like, what he is doing or what he's going to be doing or whatever. Because we're lifted out of here. We have no worries about this. This is for the non-believers. This is for the ones that are left behind. The ones that are left behind, they have to go through this. Now, why I believe that the avatar that is being controlled by Satan is a clone is because in the year 2024 they have actually cloned an ape from a full-grown ape. And apes are close to humans' DNA. They are the closest living creature to humans' DNA. So much close that in 1980, it's either the mid 80s or late 80s, they did the very first open heart surgery, open heart transfer. It took a baboon's heart and put it in a human's heart, in the human body, and that baboon's heart functioned perfectly. And that tells you how close their DNA is to us. And that is why that the evolution people believe that man came from apes, because their DNA is close to ours. And that is the lie of the devil. The devil wants people to believe that we came from apes. Because if man believes that he came from apes, he's not worshiping God. Now, that being said, yeah, I know what you're saying, but it's against the law to clone a human. Yes. It is also against the law to create COVID too. But they created COVID in a Chinese lab, which is against law to do. So if they're able to commit a felony with creating COVID in a lab, what's stopping them from creating a human clone? Nothing. I believe they're close to creating a human clone. But like I said, they created a full-grown ape in 2024. And if you really want to see what a person looks like and acts like without a human soul, there is a horror movie that was created in the 80s. by Wes Craven called The Chill. It is about a CEO that gets cryogenically frozen. And 10 years go by, they revive him. And when they revive him, he comes out without a soul. And the priest in that movie says a certain thing. He said, a man without a soul is a very, very evil man, very dangerous man. So if you really want to see how the beast acts, I suggest you check out that movie and see what he would actually be acting like. And with this, I say to the born again believers, we don't have to worry about what the beast is going to be acting like, what he's going to be looking like. We don't have to worry about none of that because we're going to be up in heaven with Jesus, feasting at his table. This description of the beast that I'm giving you is going to be for the ones that are left behind, the ones that fell away, the ones that didn't believe the worship. These are the ones that are left behind that have to go through the great tribulation with the beast and the angels killing a third of the human race. And with that said, if you want to stick around and see what the beast looks like, go ahead. Don't believe. If you don't believe what I'm saying, that's fine. Yeah, that's fine that you don't believe what I said. I'm okay with that. But this is what I believe that the beast is going to be like. It's what I believe. And with that, I say, good day.